Community Redevelopment Agency Board meeting to order. If everyone could stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play ball.
Okay, we'll take citizens' comments that will be accepted during this portion of the meeting on any non-agenda item, future agenda item, or topic of relevance to the Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Bradenton. Comments will be accepted on public hearings at the appropriate time.
There are none, Madam Chair.
Okay, no comments, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, move to approve consent agenda, items 4A through 4D.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, all CRA districts. Number A, market analysis.
Madam Chairman, this is the market analysis you've been waiting for. This is Mr. Randy Iaboni. I will let him speak for himself. Just remember that he is data-driven and all about the numbers. And also, he's on the Palmetto CRA Advisory Committee. So he's figuring that one out. And then he has done this before for me, and I can't tell you how enlightening it is once you start to see your CRA. Just remember that this is an analysis that he provides. If we end up having new questions, we can always contract with him, and if it's something that he can derive or get close to, and he'll let you know if he can or he can't. So he's been doing this for quite a while, and he works for all the really good companies. And I will say this, you've heard Councilman Barnaby talk about the Trader Joe's and the Dollar Tree analysis about one can't be with, this is where it comes from. So this is the guy.
Okay, that was a nice introduction. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, board members. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me. Before I start the presentation, there's a couple of things I want to go over on the product that I produce for you. First of all, I believe I'm going to say this, but doing 3 studies together like that is mind-boggling from my perspective, because you have to crawl into the space and then crawl out, and they're all side by each. So at some point you may want to look at that as a package. It just seems to make sense for me, but I'll leave that as a topic for another day. The downtown CRA, the study that we performed there, included what I call the donut hole. So the CRA in the downtown has that big donut hole where all of those beautiful developments are along the waterfront. I understand why it's not part of the CRA. It makes total sense, but it's surrounded by it. So to not include it when you're studying that particular CRA, it will give you a false perspective of what's going on. So I spoke to Jeff about it. We decided that would be the smart play, and I included that. So just know that in that study. Now, what it'll show you, as you see later, is that you've done a good job in that downtown, and you're coming towards, you're getting a good result from what you've started already. So there'll be some insights in those studies that let you know how much further you can go or other things to look at. The other thing I want to talk about is rent stabilization. It's a term that's thrown out a lot in our industry. And when I speak of it, I don't include rent control. Okay? I think that is the worst thing you could possibly do, is put in rent control. So I see nodding heads. So I'm not going to belabor the whole topic, but it's really not a good way to go. It's short-term gain, long-term pain. The people stop investing, they stop repairing, it becomes a disaster. So please don't go that avenue. So when I talk rent stabilization, I'm talking lease renewal protections to make sure that everybody in the community is able to renew their leases without being forced out of their place. We can talk about registries and transparency in those registries, so everybody knows who's got places available, and what the rents are and so on. So I can go on and on about that, but it looks like you guys have a good handle. But there's mean tested support, exemptions for new construction so that they will build in the area and create housing. You're working towards some of this already. Capital improvement pass-throughs, so you can help with capital so that they can redevelop property and bring in the proper housing and new product. You'll see in some of this, there's some really old product that we have to deal with. The other thing, if you haven't had a chance yet to really get through the study, is I prepared it a certain way. So the first part of each study talks about where the data is coming from, how it's used, what to look for in the data. The second part of the study goes into population and every particular detail I can come up with for you. And in that section, the first part of that section also reminds you what that section is about, what the data is trying to show you, and then we get into the whole detail of the data. So if you want to skip some of those preambles and just start at overview when you get to those sections, that's where the hard data comes in, okay? Okay, so I've just did that, and I can start this presentation. So let me, I didn't realize when I got that I couldn't plug into your system. We're not so fancy on the other side of the river.
Randy, you can put one on top of the other, and it'll come through, so you,
No, I realize that. Okay,
just
I can do
letting
it
you
that
know.
way. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the first slide, it's the second slide, deals with an overview of the three CRA areas. Each has a unique demographic, housing, and economic characteristics. And that will help shape your redevelopment approaches. So each community has something a little different in it, okay? Here, I'll take it. Okay, the housing, this is the Bradenton CRA housing conditions. So the housing conditions vary, as I said before. So Central CRA has an aging stock and limited multi-family options. The downtown CRA features newer urban-style buildings, and the Tamiami Trail CRA is more senior-oriented. And it has high vacancy and a large mobile home presence. Okay, so there's that Tamiami Trail is one of the places we're going to have to focus on real hard to get those people housing and jobs and so on. And it'll come through as we go through these slides. Okay, this slide is dealing with the income and wealth inequality. Income and wealth disparities are stark. In downtown CRA, has the highest median income and wealth index. Central CRA shows concentrated poverty and lower asset accumulation, and the Tamiami Trail CRA has a high share of households earning under $35,000. So when you look at the chart, especially if you're looking at that wealth income, you'll see that the downtown, there's wealth. Sorry, go ahead.
Just like, KK, can you show them how to like zoom that in a little bit? Because
You can't really see them.
Granicus isn't working.
The words,
mine is
don't
up.
even have it.
Zoom
Well,
in.
I can't get the attachment.
There's-
Yeah, I can't get the
there wasn't-
attachments either.
There's no one.
Yeah, I don't know, I was struggling with my Granicus.
It's just a cover page.
Oh, it's just a cover page?
Yeah.
That made it,
Want to make copies of this and hand it to them?
No, we can get it to him.
no, that was worse. I tried the other way. I know that it can, it can get closer to it. I just don't know how to do it.
Or you could just tell us the words.
I think you're changing things like the shade and the colors as opposed to
contrast.
Oh, that's,
Is not.
That's
No,
not good.
no, that's
No.
going the wrong way.
Disappeared.
My worst.
Ah,
Okay.
Yeah, but we need to bring the words and colors back.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ibony, I didn't, but the thing is if we can't read it, it's not gonna stick in my head.
I can make copies.
Well, I mean, we will get copies of this eventually, but, okay,
That's good size,
that's
but now
good,
you have
but
to
we
bring
have
it
to
up
colors
fix
back on.
the
Yeah.
tone,
It's color tone,
yeah.
but unfortunately, there's not the button on here
To like,
contrast.
Can we undo what we did?
yeah, just go back to
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
I'm
was.
sorry I interrupted.
Oh.
Whoa.
I apologize for interrupting now, I'm very sorry.
No, we're gonna get it right so we can see it.
Oh, there it is.
Wait.
Hey.
Now we're, oh,
Oh, what did you do?
He put his hand in front of it.
You gotta keep your hand there.
okay.
You think that'll help? It should help, shouldn't it?
You're just gonna have to hold your hand.
Stand
Just hold your hand there.
Turn the light.
I really apologize for even opening my mouth, ladies and gentlemen.
See it. It can be better.
Now you got the true color, and then if you want to just tighten in on it, you do these two buttons.
Nice.
Ah,
There we go.
perfect.
Perfect.
That helps.
well, kind of.
Scooch it over, yeah.
I can't see, but that's okay.
Well, no, he can have those lights on, that's not a problem, Jeff.
Okay.
Fixed it.
It's gotta shrink.
Yeah, just a tad bit.
Just a little.
Bill, sorry, just a
So,
tad.
slide number 4. I'll start from the top. Income, wealth, and inequality. Slide 4 and slide 5 are going to go together. Can you see those numbers a little better now?
I can
Yes.
absolutely see the
Okay.
numbers.
Great.
better now.
So,
You can't
Sides
read
of
that
the
one
graph.
on the margin is outside the.
Well, that's wealth,
On wealth and income,
Yeah, wealth
what is
and
the
income.
green? Median what?
Ah, there.
So, yeah, so if you look at okay, I'm going to get off the notes because you guys are following the drawing. So if you look at that wealth, income inequality graph, okay? So what that's comparing, the blue line's comparing the top 10% to the bottom 10%. The green line's comparing the top 20 to the bottom the top 20 to the bottom 80, okay? And the orange is the top 10% to the mid, which is about 50%. So you can see that the discrepancy there isn't too bad. It's pretty good. But you're looking at the low and high end, there's huge problems there. And that's throughout this whole thing. You know, if you look over at wealth and income, you'll see what I've got there is the net worth, disposable income, and median income. And you can see that in the downtown, there's some decent wealth in the downtown. If you look at the central CRA, it's not doing as well, and for sure Tamiami Trail isn't doing as well, okay? Okay, I can get back to my notes. Okay, the Tamiami Trail has a high share of households earning under $35,000. So if you look at the diagrams up there, you can see the difference in wealth, okay? So the highest is the green, so you'll see the downtown has a very high percentage versus the other two, okay? And then if you look at the lowest level, which is the blue, which is under $35,000, okay, you can see that Tamiami Trail is in worse condition from that point of view, okay? So that's a clear way to get that over to you. This makes sense. We're number 5. How's that? You got it?
Yep.
Okay, so this is the wealth, another way of looking at the wealth index. But if you look at that wealth index down there, income and wealth disparities are stark. The downtown CRA has the highest median income and wealth index, and scores the highest, while the central CRA and Tamiami Trail lag behind. 53% of the central CRA has less than $15,000 of net worth versus 25.7% in downtown CRA. 49% of the households in Tamiami Trail CRA earn less than $35,000 a year. This wealth index matrix will help the BCRA track progress in asset building initiatives. So there's an issue here with wealth. They're not saving in money and they're not putting money away. And as we all know, as they get older, that becomes problematic. In terms of being able to afford their life, any kind of a lifestyle when they get older. So there's some real issues in Tamiami Trail area that we've got to try to address as a group. To address the inequality, we recommend embedding financial coaching, matching savings, and shared equity models. These strategies will build household assets and reduce displacement risk across all CRA areas. The next set of slides deal with tapestry segmentation. In my opinion, it's the most powerful tool that they've ever developed at Esri for us to look at what communities are all about. They've been able to take all of the different matrices and paint a picture of who's in that area. And they name the group very familiar names like like this particular one here. There's groups in it, kids and kin, okay, which means it's those family households with young children in it, but also grandparents in it. So the descriptions will help you get a picture, but in those binders, or you can get binders, you got whatever your printouts are, in there's detail about each one of these groups, how much money they have, what they like to do, where they go, what they need. It's all in there. So please use that. I think it's a very, 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 very powerful tool. So the first one I want to do is Central CRA. This is a summary of the information of that particular group. I'm not going to go through these in detail because there's a lot of information there and you probably can't see most of it. But the one thing I want to point out is that this slide comes with that slide. So these two slides make up the one slide that I wanted to present. Whereas here you can see the types of occupation that they're in. You can see how many people are unemployed, I believe that's what. Okay, and then this is their occupation, where they're working. Okay, all that data is in there. Okay, so these two sheets go together, and that's all the data you get on that one group, just in this format. But there's a lot I have in writing that you should go through and understand. It really will help you guys deal with it. So I'm gonna just flash these through. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on the detail here. Okay, but again, you'll see the occupation types and all that. And the shading here tells you about how much versus the US they're into, how heavy it is, okay? So I'll do that one. And then the last one was the Tamiami Trail, same information.
Oh, it's
Side.
upside,
And now you have to flip it.
Oh, wake up, Randy. Here you go, sorry about that. Okay, and then the other sheet. But look at that versus the other two. Look at that number, 14.8% unemployment. 19% unemployment for the age group, I believe, the age group of 19 through 54. It's a problem. So the tapestry, as a summary, this Central CRA is diverse and family oriented. That's what you get out of this picture. They're very diverse. The diversity in the communities it's tremendous. It's way higher than the average in the U.S. It's tremendous. It's a good thing. Downtown CRA skews towards retirees and moderate metros. So it's singles, these people that don't have a lot of money, but they're single and they want to live in a urban community. Tamiami Trail CRA is dominated by senior segments and single thrifties. So there's a lot of seniors in that pocket, which we know by knowing the communities. But there's a lot of singles that don't have a lot of money in that community. And a lot of them are unemployed. So it's a problem, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna move on. This is more of a breakdown of that tapestry, but you can see that the orange is downtown CRA. You can see how it's dominated just look at the names. Retirement Communities, The Elders. I mean, it tells you exactly who's there without you even knowing any detail about them. But you can see how it's broken up, and when you get through the study, you'll see there's lots of ways of tying all of this back into the programs that you're going to put forth. Okay, so I wanted to show you that. Where am I here? Here we go. Population and household formation are growing faster in the downtown CRA. So that's here it is, this area here. So you can see that our population is growing, which is great, but the household formation is growing at a faster pace. That tells me that the housing isn't keeping up with the population. There's not enough places. We're going to run out of places to put people that are forming families or that need bigger households. They're running out of places to go. The communities are filled with rentals, which is good for this crowd. However, the rentals are usually not 3-bedroom rentals. They're 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, or lofts. And so what's happening is once the family starts to grow, they have nowhere to go in the community. They have to almost leave the community. So that's part of our problem here. And we set a presentation the other day at a convention here that they're holding at the Marriott, the Brownsfield convention. I don't know if you guys went to it or not, but anyway, this stuff comes up in that, is that the fact that these formations are happening and people don't know where to do. They don't know where to go and where to live. So they start living 3 or 4 families in a house, and that's a disaster for any community. So again, that's one of the issues that have to be addressed here. Population by occupation. The Central CRA, 63.7% of the population work in the service business and blue-collar jobs. Unemployment is 6.1%. Now, that sounds low, but in the state of Florida, that's 30% higher than the state. Okay? In downtown CRA, 56.5% of the population work in white-collar jobs, and 43.4% in service and blue-collar jobs. Okay? Unemployment is 5.6, still low, but 32% higher than the state. Tamiami Trail CRA is 71.2% of the population work in service and blue-collar jobs. Okay? 43.4%, sorry, I misquoted, I misspoke there, sorry. 56.5% work in 71.2% work in the service and blue-collar jobs. The unemployment rate there is 14.8%. It's 74% higher than the state. But the issue there really is that working age group, 19 to 54, there's extreme high unemployment in that age group. And usually that leads to trouble. So that I think is one of your biggest things to focus in on. The housing tenure and vacancy challenges. Okay, so I don't even know what slide I'm on here. Here we go. Okay, so the vacancy rates and patterns suggest targeted interventions. The Central CRA we believe they need rental stabilization. Downtown CRA requires inclusionary zoning and gap financing. Okay? And the Tamiami Trail, when I say inclusionary zoning, that goes back to that issue of that there isn't enough three bedroom apartments and things of that nature. Tamiami Trail CRA calls for a rehab and vacancy activation. And as you can see on the chart, you've got high vacancy in the downtown and the Tamiami Trail. Central does pretty well, but they need some rental assistance up in that area. Okay. We looked at the retail and the restaurant market. The retail demand varies by districts. Central CRA favors fast food and ethnic grocers. Downtown CRA supports sit-down dining and micro retail. And Tamiami Trail CRA leans towards essential goods and food-based placemaking. Consumer demand and retail strategy. Delivery apps are reshaping consumer behavior all all across all 3 CRA areas. A possible retail strategy includes culinary incubation, micro retail, and mobile retail to align with evolving demand. We took a look at the workforce. Oh, we have enough. Okay, we're looking here at the workforce and economic development. Labor force dynamics show opportunities. Central CRA needs youth employment supports. Downtown CRA can leverage healthcare and tech upskilling. There's a great number of people in that downtown CRA that are in the medical business. It's an amazing thing, but it makes sense. There's a hospital here. There's a lot of clinics here. There's a lot of doctors around the hospital, so it all makes sense. But that's something you can leverage up on. That's a group that you can build on and have them help take everybody up. Okay, so keep an eye on those guys. The Tamiami Trail, where am I? I'm on workforce. Tamiami Trail requires GED access and training. So they need some access to schooling. They need to get their skills up to a level where they can go out and get a job. Okay? And that shouldn't be too hard to do. I mean, I don't think it is, but you have to have a program in play and get them involved so they can help improve themselves so they can move on. Okay? Okay. The good news is there's a lot of workers in the market. The labor force participation is still quite high, even though we've got these unemployment problems in some of the markets. But still, there's a lot of people working out in the marketplace. So that's a good sign. We took a look at the cultural identity. And the segmentation of that. So the cultural segmentation informs our outreach. So the Central CRA benefits from bilingual engagement. The Downtown CRA needs age-specific programming, and the Tamiami Trail CRA requires inclusive design for seniors. Diversity index is tremendous. Okay, I think the U.S. Average was 72 or 69 or 68, somewhere around there. Okay. Each CRA has tailored priorities. The Central CRA focuses on rental stabilization and youth employment. Downtown CRA emphasizes affordability and placemaking, and the Tamiami Trail CRA suggests senior housing and workforce development. So on that chart, there's some suggestions of programs to look at, plans to implement, okay? That'll give you some idea of sort of how to deal with the issues that you have in those communities. We looked at you as one big group, really, because you are, and I try to come up with something that was sort of strategic for all 3 CRAs because you're one body. So across all CRAs, we propose 4 strategic themes: housing stability, workforce resilience, cultural responsive redevelopment, and retail activation. These cross-cutting priorities will guide future investment. Okay, the CRA Investment Priorities Matrix is what I call that. This matrix summarizes each CRA's focused area. It's a quick reference for aligning housing, workforce, retail, and cultural strategies with distinct specific needs. So we try to do that. So I showed you on this chart, we're trying to focus on the housing, workforce, retail, and cultural facets. And within those 3 CRAs, I've suggested possible things for you guys to look at, to implement. Well, any good plan needs something somebody to watch over it and monitor it, make sure it's going the right way. So that if it doesn't, then you can readjust. So what I'm showing you here really is just the matrix. So to monitor progress, we recommend a dashboard tracking housing, economic, retail, and segmentation matrix. This will enable data-driven adjustments and accountability. So get out there, start a program, test it, find out if it's working or not. Now, some of these tests you won't be able to do for a year until they update data and so on. But it's good to know where you're going. If you look again, when you get through the detail of what I've prepared, you'll see in a lot of cases the 2020 to 2030 trends show us that we're moving in the right direction. You guys, I mean, I came down here blind. I didn't know what you were doing, how you were doing it, what the markets were really like. I came blind, but I'm looking just through the data, and I'm finding that the work that you've done in the past is working. And I'm seeing that in the data. And so you'll be able to see that also going forward when you change these programs and go back and take a look, okay? So it was noticeable to me, and I think it'll be noticeable to anybody who focuses on these matrix. Okay, so I'll leave that with you. And then the last slides, so I can get out of your hair. The call to action, the next steps. So to conclude, we urge adaptation of an equity framework, launch of pilot programs, increase engagement with community advisory groups, and quarterly monitoring and regional coordination will ensure sustained impact. And that concludes my presentation.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Iaboni, when corporations or larger business groups look at where they're going to go next and what they're going to do next,
Right.
this is the information that they look at. They look at the age demographics, they look at the discretionary income and income levels, and they look at what services are where and what is not there. Is that correct?
Yes, but let me be more specific about how they attack a market. So let's say you're looking at Starbucks. No, that's a bad one. Let's say you're looking at DWS shoes. Okay, they've been in business long enough to know what their customer base looks like and what they are. And if they're smart, they'll go all the way down to a tapestry and figure out which 2-3 tapestries are their tapestries. And when they figure that out, and they're going to go back and they're going to pull up a city's demographics and they're going to go, where are those people? That's the first step they do. If they're smart, I don't know, they don't all do that. The second step they do is once they zoom in on a site, it's not a diagram like that they're going to look at. They usually look at drive times, either 5, 10-minute, 15-minute drive times, sometimes 20, depends on the type of business. A location-based entertainer can draw from miles around, so he's looking at 40 or 50-minute drive times. And they look at radiuses, 1 mile, 2 mile, 1 mile, 3 mile, 5 mile radiuses. And they want to see who's there, because what they want to do is make it convenient for people to get them, to get to their stores. Now, if within those two studies, if those two things, they see their clientele in that market, they're pulling the trigger, they're opening that store. If they don't, they'll move on to another site. So it's what you said is true, but they're even more specific than that. They get right down. Now, some retailers like the Starbucks, that they get into New York City, they're looking at 1 square mile. That's all they care about. There's enough people in 1 square mile of service that they can service. So it depends on the retailer and how they look at it. A grocery store is looking at 5 max. Publix does something unusual. They want to be the biggest in the market and the first in the market. So they'll open up even if the people aren't there yet in a new subdivision that's being built because they want to be the first. But if they're coming back to an older market or any other grocer, they're going to be looking at that type of demographic. The one thing that always comes up in these meetings is grocery stores. But you got that freebie. That freebie is it's a genius thing, I think. Within the freebie, there's Publix. There's ethnic grocers. They can get everything they want, but do they know it's there? Do they know they have access to it? Do they know it's free? The thing I always question is if people are complaining, do they know they can get in a car and get taken to the store? I don't know if they know that. But these CRAs on both sides of the river have access to good stores because of that drive service. I think when I first heard about it, I thought it was a genius idea. So I don't know who came up with it, but good job. Okay, good job on that. The other thing is, so that's always a question about the grocery stores. I think we have grocery stores that people can get access to, but grocery stores are a problem in certain communities, and the reason they're a problem is theft. Theft is 90% of the issue with these guys. So someone wanted to ask me, what would you do to attack them? I said, well, first of all, I'm going to show them I've got the people in the community that are going to support them. Second of all, I'm going to say we're going to alleviate your headache of the theft because we're either going to subsidize you one way, or we're going to give you money for extra security, or provide the extra security, something to get them over that hump. But if you can, I'll bet we'll be able to get more of these grocers to start looking at inner city locations. The other idea I have for that is regional guys that understand who lives here, the market, like Detweiler's or Acapulco Tropical. You go to them and say, give us a small store. We'll help subsidize it. We'll help you open it. But we don't want to run it. We want you to run it, but we'll help you get it up and running so it works. So these are some of the ideas that I'm just sort of throwing out there, but if you ever want me to study that, let me know. I'll dig into it real deep. Okay, sorry. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
No,
I'm long-winded.
I mean, we've sat here, some of us, off and on for years, and we think that some of the things that we put out there are going to bear fruit. But paying attention and breaking it down this way and looking at truly what the needs are and where are the holes that we can get something and plug in that hole, and that will make a huge difference. Realize Bradenton does an entrepreneur training program. MTI and State College of Florida also does GED classes. Maybe we need to look at bringing something like that conveniently into these not just say, well, tell them to go to
drive them in.
to what I knew as MJC, tell them to go out there. I think we need to find things, have programs that are, quite frankly, walkable, that somebody can walk there and walk back.
You have a vacant store, you go to the owner, can we borrow your store for the week, for a day, so we can do a presentation? I mean, there's lots of ways to cut that, but you're right. The closer they're going to be to it, the more likely they're going to use it. If they have to drive half a city to get there, they're not going. They're just not going. But great idea.
You got to make it easy.
Got to make it easy.
And I think we're on that, I'm sorry.
No, go
Madam
ahead.
Chair. I think we're on that track. You even said that it seems like we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, the downtown, for sure you did a great, the downtown is clearly coming together. You can see it in the data. The Central is doing pretty good. It's struggling, but it's doing pretty good.
There's more to
Tamiami Trail, you all know, we need work there, and that's going to be a bigger job. The other thing to keep in mind when I do these studies, because you're asking me to be very within your boundaries, okay? I know for sure 14th Street, the Tamiami Trail CRA, you're bleeding all your sales down to that corner where all the retailers. I go there from Palmetto, so why wouldn't the people in that neighborhood go? So that's part of the issue, that that location at Cortez is just so close for them that they're bypassing everybody locally and just going to that corner. So that's another thing to keep in mind, that doesn't really get picked up in this particular study. It would have if we had done 5 and 10 mile circles, radius from the sites, or if we had done drive times from sites. So it wouldn't pick it up, but it shows that it's bleeding. This furniture sales are bleeding, but it's all at that corner. It's not that far away from them, so it's hard to bring that into their community. So keep that in mind a little bit when you go through this data. With the constraints I had on the study, it sort of didn't let me go outside that boundary, but I'm just letting you know that that's there, okay?
Does the county still have their CRA?
No.
No,
They don't?
no, they disbanded
Dissolved
those.
it.
Okay.
So just so you know, asking Randy to come for a short period of time and deliver this kind of information, as you can see, it's a lot. It's a lot more.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than I can handle, okay? And that's why I love him, because it's, you know, it's like, he answers a question, I'm like, finally, someone that talks longer than I do. But needless to say, we can set up meetings where he can meet with each. I've had one council member ask me already, can we meet with them individually? If for you to understand this, for all of us to understand this, you know, and it's, you know, why have the data and have that mind sitting where we can get at them and not bring them in? And I think maybe setting up appointments, the nice thing about Randy is he's a consultant, and we can work out an arrangement for that. And to sit down, and I can imagine the EDC is probably sitting over there, probably like, can you go back? Can we record this? Can we go back and play the tape again? It's a lot of information.
There's a lot of stuff for the EDC in there as well, absolutely.
And you have questions you don't even know yet. I've been writing them down as he's been talking. And instead, you know, and in a group setting like this, it's one thing, but to be able to sit down and to focus in and ask the questions, talk to him, understand what he's saying, you might stop him and say, "What do you mean by that?" And he'll tell you exactly what he means by that. And I think this goes a long way to help with your economic development plan. Because, I mean, this is a source. We're lucky to have him in Manatee County because he works nationwide in real estate, and he works with all of the people that you would love to see come to the city of Bradenton. So, so while you're asking your questions today, if you would like to set up one-on-ones with him, that'll help me out too, because I'll sit in those meetings, and by the time he goes through everybody, I'll have a better understanding myself of what he's talking about.
Okay, but I want to imagine expectations. I took it on a project that's just consuming me. So I mean, listen, I'm a neighbor. I'm a homeboy. I want to support you guys. I think it's important for us that you guys work and we work. So I'm coming because I live here, not so much because I'm earning a fee. But I do want you to know I'm going to get slammed with crazy work for the next little while. So just managing your expectations. Okay.
So first of all, with his schedule, working around his schedule, would you like to meet with him individually?
Yes.
Yeah,
I know
okay.
where he lives.
Apparently, you know he grows vegetables. And I'm sure that the EDC would like to sit in on those also.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We can be a good team player and do that.
Are we done?
I just
Sure.
I just had one quick question, and Mr. Iaboni mentioned it in the beginning. If we're roughly, yes, it's a fact, we have 3 CRAs, but Dr. J, if we're looking at 1,500 to 1,600 acres, and we're talking about, I was just looking and seeing that the downtown demographic is skewed, median age, and maybe because the elders and the retirement. And then we have Tamiami CRA that has higher unemployment, a younger demographic. If, and it seemed to be a point of contention with you to begin with, if we're looking at that area as a whole, I just wonder why we would delineate and look at, okay, if we're looking at a study that has wealth and savings, which is basically financial literacy and job training for the youth, and then why we wouldn't look at those 3 CRAs as one for that study rather than this set of problems, this set of problems, this set of problems. Those 3 sets of problems are all the city's problem.
We had that discussion coming in to him doing what he does. And, you know, we talked about that. Do we do them all as one big group? Do we do them all separately? And we felt, you know, the nice thing about Randy is he's a neighbor.
Yep.
And so, you know, we even talked about, you know, okay, let's do this first. Then let's talk about doing all the CRAs together.
I don't want to step on your toes, but I'll tell you what's interesting. When I first saw this, I went, boy, they should just do one. I don't know why they're doing three. And really, I was just like throwing myself. But what was good about this exercise is that you have distinct differences between those three pockets. You really do. But they're so close to each other that they can also work together. So it's something to consider. But doing the three, when I first came in, I was totally against it. Oh, what are you guys, nuts? But actually, it really helped me get a better sense of what was going on in those individual pockets. Now, one that encompasses it all, I think would be a good one to have as well. But you can't just marry that data. You have to rerun the whole study, just so you know, okay?
Well, and I might say that I almost wonder if we shouldn't be going outside the CRA boundaries and doing like the whole downtown core. I know that becomes a financial, but
You know, like I always say, you ask questions. Randy and I talked about a citywide
and you know,
analysis.
especially with the discussions of a fourth CRA coming. So I could see before we start doing just one, we get with the mayor and see if the city wants to participate. I know we've been having a lot of studies, but I kind of like this data and
Kind of data.
This is,
I think
yeah,
a
this
local
is,
person-
this isn't he's not a planning consultant.
yeah.
He's an actual real estate consultant to the people we want to talk to. So you're actually hearing from a guy that tells the grocery stores and all of the other folks that we want to come to Bradenton, he advises them. So we have an inside look at what Publix, because that's what I love about him too, is I've told you all the story about the one city councilman that said it was either a Starbucks or a Chick-fil-A.
Oh, they wanted a Starbucks.
But I want this.
My answer was never.
And then he told them why.
Right.
And that why is the things that you need to work on to fix it.
So my wife was in the business, was a commercial broker, retail only. And not a lot of the names on the list you'll see at the end of the book that's her work. Anyway, I don't know if I should tell the story. I better get permission. I'll tell you next time. I know I'm thinking about a story I'm about to tell, and I'm being recorded here, so maybe I'll pass on it. Okay.
We understand.
I love that idea, and that was going to be part of my question, because I agree with where you kind of ended up, which is this is the kind of data that I feel is missing a little bit when we talk to our consultant that helps us with economic analysis, because that net is so wide when you're looking at Manatee County versus the city of Bradenton, and then even smaller in the CRAs. And the difference is so huge. So I think you're confirming for us a lot of things that we kind of had gut feelings about. And so I think that is super invaluable. And from my perspective, and I think that many of us, poor Ward 3, I feel like I always drag Ward 3 into my shenanigans. We have large pockets of city population that are literally just on the fringe of these CRA areas. So when you say things like, when you talk about these demographics, I just wonder, those fringe areas, would they skew that data in any way? Like, I really, just to your point, I think it's so beneficial to kind of like.
Yeah, it's hard to give you
add
a
that in there.
generality until I look at what's out there and all that. So it depends. I mean, I don't know Bradenton well enough to give you insight into that, but what could happen, you might get one pocket that's just bizarro, let's say wealthy, and you make it one pocket that's totally the opposite. Yes, they will skew the information. But when you're dealing a citywide kind of study, you're dealing with a million people. I don't know, how big's Bradenton, a million?
We just learned that's like 58,000.
Bradenton is
But when you've got that many people, then they get blended in. So because they are part of your community and they blend in, right? So they'll get blended into all the numbers. So it depends on, it's better to set a goal for what you would like to achieve when you do these studies versus just give me a market study, because I can go 1,000 different ways on a market study. But if you say to me, we're focused because we want to see about this, and then I go, okay, let me focus on that together with the rest of the stuff, but let me focus on that. And so this is the first time I've done one of these for a CRA specific CR, in terms of giving you ideas of how to implement what I'm finding. I didn't do that before, and the reason is I didn't know the information before because I just joined the board and I'm learning the information. So I studied it up and go, I'm applying it to this. So that's the first time I've done that, and I think it's going to be helpful for you because as you read the data and then go back to all those sheets I have, because all the stuff's buried there, and there's more stuff in there if you want to take a look. But once you're able to do that, you then get a good sense of what's going on, and you feel a little bit more confident with going forward with one of your programs versus I'm throwing the dart against the wall, will it stick?
Exactly.
I mean, at least this way, it's an educated guess. It's not a shotgun. It's a rifle approach.
I think that Dr. Burton and Mr. Mignon and now poor Mr. Campbell are starting to learn that this is exactly what I wanted to do. We've been told no a lot, and I want to know, I need more. I want to know why.
Okay, nothing wrong with that.
What do I need to give you for me to get what I want?
You're like me.
Well,
More data.
and, I mean, I got a little morsel there when you said, that their waste is a lot of what they're looking at, and that maybe we incentivize some of the crime or, crime prevention or SEPTED and all that to attract those people. I don't know if there's other things like
I mean,
that.
There's a list of hurdles for those businesses, but I think no one's really, I haven't seen anywhere. I've tried to find somewhere where someone said, you know what, they've got these 5 headaches, let's cross them off. Let's deal with all 5 headaches. Are they still open? I don't know. But let's get rid of the headaches and then put it in front of them and force the issue. You got to sell this. You can't just go in, hey, here's the beautiful numbers, bye. No, you got to hammer them. You're going to have to call them 55,000 times till they say yes. So it's got to be a coordinated effort. You're going to have to do the study on their behalf because they're not going to spend the time doing it. You're going to have to then package that and market that, and then you got to get boots on the ground, knocking down doors, calling these people, saying, please, come. Go to the shows, stand in front of them, beg them. But once 1 or 2 of these things happen somewhere in the country, that formula will be built. Maybe it'll be built here. Maybe we're the first guys who can think this through. But there's a way I can't believe there's not a way to get this done. There's got to be a way. And you have the tools. The CRA has the tools. I didn't know that before. Now I know. You guys have the tools. You can offer so many different incentives. It's worth a shot.
Also, this is, if I may, and this is really more directed towards you guys. I found that it was notable that it seemed to me that a lot of your, indicating your suggestions as to the type of businesses, the use of the word micro. Because I think sometimes when you're sitting up here, it's very easy to say, I want the Publix. But, I don't want a Publix, actually. I always say low, small footprint, low price point.
Yeah, and people are moving towards that more and more. They want to specialize food. And one of the things that was noticeable in the downtown, there's not a lot of ethnic food down here, is there? I mean, I couldn't. The numbers didn't show me that there were as many as in the other pockets. So there's an issue with that. I don't know what that is. On the other side of the river, we've got almost all ethnic foods. So maybe they're going there for that. I don't know. So it was something that I just sort of noticed as I'm flipping through the data.
I think the choices of businesses in the downtown area are based on the kind of customers they want.
Right.
So.
Right. And that are surrounding them here. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you, Randy.
Is there a motion? No, just.
I'd love to give, I see Mr. Perry and the mayor in the back. Is there any questions you wanted to ask?
I don't think so. I think the comments regarding sharing the information with the EDC and integrating that together is helpful.
Great.
Sometimes the information leads to more questions than answers. That's just the nature of research, I guess, a little bit, right? It is.
But I'm just going to ask Mr. Perry and the mayor, from listening to some of the information that kind of confirmed what we had ideas about, do you feel like our city park is going to kind of answer some of that? No, you don't want to.
I think when we looked at like training.
Mr. Perry, if you don't.
Excuse me,
if
would you
don't
mind coming to the front, please? I know.
That me this morning. I didn't really want to do more.
Has it been sworn in?
Yeah. Sworn at.
He's been sworn out a lot.
Didn't want to put you on the spot.
I think a lot of the information is very consistent with some of the programming we're looking to try to do at City Park and some of the other initiatives in the city that are complementary as well. It's difficult to put all these pieces together in an intentional, purposeful way.
And
I think we are trying to do that, and we have good folks trying to help us do it too. So there's a lot of moving parts.
So the one thing that the city park immediately caught my eye, and Randy and I talked about it, and it just threw a flag up for me, was the POW building. I've heard the mayor and the city administrator both talk about the POW building be a center for education. They talk a lot about pharmacy tech, and how much money that person, and how someone can go there and learn that. That's Tamiami. That is exactly, what he's saying, they go together.
Underemployed people trying to get closer to being fully employed people.
Well, and not just employed, but gainfully, with disposable incomes, which is another term that Randy used. And one of the questions that, if we were going to go deeper, which we're not, but was like, why is disposable income so important? And don't start. You can answer that later. Hey,
I
Mayor.
can answer that
Brown.
now.
Mayor, City of
What's
Bradenton.
your address?
Bradenton. In reality, the community center there will not be, that'll be the stepping stone to get to the next level, where ultimately all their pharmaceutical, nursing, construction, it'll be for, but that'll be the stepping stone to get to Manatee Technical College or other facilities around the county. And one of the things when we started this was working with the county to actually have 3 bus routes designated from there to MTC, while a lot of these younger people have children, but they can't leave those children. They don't have the means to pay for daycare. And that's why Early Learning Coalition will be involved. A lot of the other policies during the day with the school district will actually be helping at that time. It is a collaboration of about 11 different entities that is coming together. We're actually meeting, or I'm meeting with the school district and the principal at Rogers next Thursday to go over. We have $1 million donor that wants to do a playground that will not only be for the school during the day, but it will be able to be utilized for them and then after hours for the community with a complete, similar program that we have at Lewis Park, but it'll have a cover over it, completely be covered except for where the splash pad will be. So it's something that will be able to be utilized because Mr. Perry makes some statements at times about this is raining money there. It's not raining money, it's raining generational change for children, and the money is following it very aggressively from individual donors that we're working. And that's the important part of what that's going to do. And then selfishly for the city, we're going to have 4 baseball fields that will bring entertainment. And I met with the gentleman that has the brewery right to the south of the stadium, and he just wanted to confirm that we're still moving in that direction because, he's like, they're doing well, and they've got in now to some restaurant or some grocery stores and things around. But he wants to know that we're still progressing to that next level with turning points, hopefully being out of there by mid-2028, and the entertainment district going. I don't know if it's out there publicly, and I don't know if you've heard about it, but DeSoto wants to make that, where the property they own on that end, they want to make that a whole area of a historical museum to start on that street and go down 17th to 9th. When I met with Village of the Arts board the other night, the guild board, I didn't just give them what the situation we're in right now with having to remove the sidewalks and street paintings, but I broke down the probably $150 to $200 million we're going to spend. Some of it is private funding, some of it is public funding, but what we're going to spend in that corridor over the next 3 to 5 years to do infrastructure, to do facilities, to do, PAL is going to raise the money to build the building. So when you look at the public-private partnerships that's going to happen there, it is, $150 to $200 million, not including infrastructure in that area. So people don't realize, when I told that to the guild board the other night, they were like, you don't come Wednesday night, but come back. We want to do another meeting next week with them, and more of a public meeting where we can give to them. This isn't a microcosm of one thing that's happened. This is something that we're spreading throughout that part of the city, which is gonna then go into our Face It and Fix It. So, you don't think you know as much when you're trying to think about it, but when I start talking with it, I can go through it. And they were very impressed of what the city's doing, that people don't know what we're doing. And, some of it is just gonna take time, but it's really starting to come together. And I was just at Rogers Gardens pinning 10 young, new 5th grade crossing guards and safety patrol. And they were excited, and I talked with the principal again there. And, it's, a lot of it is, I don't want to wish 5 years away of our life, but 5 years, we are going to be a totally different city, and we're going to be a safer city. We're going to be a more clean city, and in a lot of other ways that are going to change the direction of generationally for kids that need us the most and everyone else. So,
Thank you, Mayor.
most of you know that, but that's what we got to get out to the public. So, and we do realize that we're going to spend about $50 million to start that project there, which it's going to cost that as we go forward. But that's stuff that our financial group will bring to us in the right time. Where's Ms. Perry go? Believe me?
He's going to work on the money.
He dropped and crawled.
Ran
all
out the
that
door.
stuff. Yeah, I was gonna say, he ran from it, but people don't realize, we already spent $5 million to buy the Tropicana property, but to build the public works and stuff, that stuff's all coming together, and it's gonna make a huge difference for the future, but, none of us wanna wish 5 years away, we just wanna get stuff done over the next 5 years and live to see it. Does that answer any of the question you asked, or was that kind of good for the public and anybody that watches?
Absolutely.
Well,
Thank
I
you.
learned some more stuff on city parks, so that was good to hear.
Yeah, no, it's hard because
I didn't know about all
we're
of that.
we're going to have workshops and going down, but we're trying. There is so much infrastructure stuff that we're talking about, and I've got 7 iterations of locations of stuff, because every time you look, it adjusts a little bit. But the fun part to see about it, because we meet weekly, every 2 weeks with the whole group, but weekly because you're talking about 3 different entities. You're talking about stormwater. You're talking about everything that's happening. And then when this donation that's coming up for the playground, and it's like, okay, how do we leverage that into it, but it'll not only help the school kids, especially kindergartners to 3rd grade, to play in that, where now if it's raining, they can still go out and have some pride in what they do, then have a splash pad right where they can have parties. Then, oh, by the way, how many elementary schools have gyms and turf football fields right next to them that can be used all day long? Well, I only know of one elementary school that has a gym next to it, and that's Palmetto L, because in the collaboration, when I was president of the Boys and Girls Club, we did the collaboration when Palmetto L moved, and part of the agreement there was that they get to use the Boys and Girls Club's gym as that. So that was a 7-person collaboration, and the person sitting to my left, if he's still there, yeah, he's still there, had a big, huge part in that, and going through all the legal stuff that we had to do. That was a nightmare, but it was the best nightmare we've ever had, because we're building off of that collaboration with the school district, and they see it. And, you look at what you're gonna give the younger kids an opportunity. Do I wanna play on that dirt field, or do I wanna go play on that turf field that I may be playing football on Saturday on as a PAL participant? And, it's not just football, it's soccer, it's lacrosse, it's cheerleading, it's girls flag football that you'll be able to do. And that will be the public-private partnership, and really public-private partnership, because you look at the entities, and that's why it's so exhausting and fun to see what we can do. But we can't talk about it privately at times because of sunshine. But, we are going to start having a lot of workshops over things. And I'm already getting emails about our meeting this morning from people that were sitting in the audience that, are now making excuses of things. So it's interesting already. But hey, we're gonna hold people's feet to the fire. We're gonna try to hold our feet to the fire and do the right things for the development of projects. And most of this is in the CRA, so, and it's probably not gonna have a huge impact to cost to the CRA, because there's gonna be some, but the cost is gonna
Always some.
come from others. And how quick can we do it? You know, because I was sitting there looking at that school and those fifth graders. You know, I looked at it, I said, I hope by the time they're out of middle school, the fifth graders are out of middle school, we'll be looking out instead of, when next 4 years from now, when we're pinning the next group of fifth graders, that we're looking out the cafeteria at a huge playground that we can do in a gym next door, and we'll do it in the gym instead of, you know, have an event there. So I can go on forever, you know.
I was going to say, I think your 3 minutes are up.
Yeah.
Still says I have
Talking
time.
about sewers then.
You called me up here.
No, we appreciate it.
No, I think it's important for people to hear, and I agree with some things that were talked about in this morning's meeting. You know, none of us are trying to not take any criticism or constructive criticism or opportunity, but the public also has to be willing to listen and come to the meetings. You know, really, if you want to talk, we don't stop anybody from talking. But you got to get up there and do it, or you got to come and listen. You know, you don't get the same thing on TV as you get live and in person. And, you know, I will go anywhere to any group and talk. And, you know, I think the other night, hour and a half with the Guild, it was their board meeting. So I've already got to go up and return a phone call that it was a secret, shady meeting. It was, no, I got invited to a board meeting,
Going up.
and, you know, it wasn't, you know, at first we had staff coming, we were public noticing it, Kemp was coming, but we realized it wasn't, and I offered for Kemp to go instead of me, and, but he doesn't have the historical knowledge yet, and I was glad, because when I told him that we're spending just $55 million approximately on changing our waste, our public works and sanitation, they were like, "You're doing that?" And I said, "Yeah," and that's probably not even including the other 20 to 40 million that's going to be spent on the above ground stuff, not including the 100 million that we're going to spend underground. And I said, that's something that people just have to, you know, we've been talking about it, but it hasn't come out as much. And I'm not the type to blast everything on Facebook every 2 seconds, but we will be doing that. So, on our social media for the city. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to thank Randy for showing up today and for doing this work for us. You can see why he comes highly recommended. I sat and listened to some city council meetings where you asked economic development questions, and it was everything I could do to just sit on my hands because I knew he was coming. And now you can see why it's worth the wait. I will schedule meetings with Randy, with each of you, according to his schedule. One of the things he brought up was communication, and the city does have staff that they do communication. I will bring you a proposal from a consultant that their specialty is public communication, especially for cities and special districts. They're out of Lutz, I believe. They were in Tampa, but I think they moved to Lutz. And it's all they do. And they work for CRAs all over the state. Once we have what we want to communicate, we're going to need a proper arm to communicate it for us, to get it out there, because Randy's right. If people don't know about the grants and the incentives, they're just paper. That's all they are.
I mean, most people don't know what a CRA does. They assume they know, but they don't know.
No.
And that's the problem, right?
Well, and I think our grant program is
Oh, it's hopping.
pretty advanced compared to what
Yeah.
most CRAs have, I think.
Well, as I said, I mean, you can see it. You can see it, and you can see it in the numbers. So you're doing the right. You guys are going in the right direction, as far as I can tell.
Well, I can't thank you enough, I mean, for taking your time and
Well,
coming to help
Okay,
us.
well, he knows where to find me. Thank you for.
So does
letting me-
Mary Ann, apparently.
and thank you for. letting me-
Mrs. Iaboni and I served together in service corps.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you the story now.
No, there is no outing. Do not out.
I'm going to hear it in my
It's just simple. It goes to his point. So the vacancy at the corner of 64 and I don't even know the name of the road, 9th Avenue East, 9th Street, whatever comes over the Green Bridge. That came vacant. She goes, "Oh, I can't wait for the Trader Joe's to open." I looked at her and go, you were always on the selling side of the business. I was on the tenant side of the business. They're never going to open there. So we made a little wager on it. It was a 5-year bet. So the 5 years are up. She owes me the $1. But anyway, but the point I was getting at was it wasn't ready. You're getting closer, but you're not ready. I don't really know their demographics, but I suspect I have an idea of it.
Well, I
But-
know that they will not open a Trader Joe's within a mile or a mile
Yeah,
and a
of a
half of
dollar
any
store.
Dollar
Yeah.
Tree, Dollar General, Dollar Store.
Yeah, they don't like those guys, yeah.
No.
I know. But every one of those retailers, if you get to their real estate people, will tell you what they're looking for. They're looking for this box. I mean, these parameters on demographics or whatever. All we have to do is match it up in the CRA and convince them that it can work there. So there's lots of ways to attack this thing to
Yeah.
get things done. So I'm just throwing a few things out there for you to look at.
And at one point in time, the city did have enterprise zones where if people who lived in those areas were hired, the corporations that hired them got a tax credit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't think we do that anymore, but,
The state dropped the program.
oh,
It's being done elsewhere in the country. though.
Yes,
Yeah.
but they-
I know California's still doing it.
It's probably 10 years now since the enterprise zones were in place.
I always thought that would be.
Well, could
that was-
we have our own enterprise zones?
You can, the city of Fort Myers, they kept one, and they use local funds to fund that. So, and I have connections down there, we could go down there and talk to them about that if we wanted to. I would highly recommend running that by someone that, those are the kind of incentives you want to make sure are targeted specifically to what you want. And if that's the case, then we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Good to see you.
Okay, see you guys, thank you.
So, Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
if it's okay, if we can swap
Everybody take a breath.
for, 6B to 6A.
Everybody take a breath.
Sure.
That way we can get Bill's been sitting here, we can get him, and
Oh,
I have two
okay, this is him?
presentations back to back, so.
Okay, so,
You're up, Bill.
Hi,
Yeah.
everybody.
Hi.
How are you? How's it
Good.
going? I suppose you know who I am, but
Wait a minute. I thought you said B.
6B.
6B.
That's
Enter.
Rossi Park Improvements? Oh, okay.
I am here today to discuss with you sunshades for the Rossi Park Forever Lawn. Basically, I was asked to lead up the project by the Chief Operational Officer, and it's pretty simple. The idea has been floated of placing 4 additional sunshades on the Rossi Park Forever Lawn that you guys may or may not be familiar with.
Oops.
Sorry, I don't like doing it during with PDFs, but that's all I had. Basically, the drawing that you kind of see in front of you is my rendering of it, is where we proposed placement of these the sunshades that we are looking into. You got a pretty good area with the Forever Lawn and everything like that, good recreational area, but as you guys know, there is absolutely no shade. Okay, and everybody knows that's been around here. You get out there in the middle of the summer, in the middle of that heat on that Forever Lawn. Forever Lawn's cool. It's fine. It's neat. It's everything else. It's heat. It's radiant heat that comes up from the surface. It's almost like concrete sometimes with an asphalt. So we kind of looked at the possibility of placing one, right in the areas that we have. This area down to the lower right-hand corner where you see, I guess they put up and remove a stage every once in a while on that. At the same time, we considered the placement as the permanent stage. We don't want to block that, but we also gave proximity to the splash pad. That way a mom can still sit there and be in close proximity to the kids that are on the splash pad, but at the same time, like if she had a smaller child that needed the shade, she can still keep an eye on those. The proposed design of the shades that we use, I'm going to skip past the schematics and go back more towards the actual picture that they gave us. That is not our pad, but those are the sunshades that we have existing on Riverwalk already, the same design, everything else. So they would obviously use that. We would use the same contractor and everything, and I'll delve down into them a little bit more once I get finished here. But it's the same contract that we operate under with the original placement of the existing sunshades that we have. And then you get last at the back of there. That's where the rubber meets the road. 4 of these things will cost you about $211,000. That's the initial estimate that we have. So we, around $250,000 for the installation of it. Part of the thing is the shades are expensive, but at the same time, the installation of the shades is quite significant too, because this just ain't just like walking out to the beach and planting your umbrella in the sand. These things have footers. They go down into the ground. They sit there. They do all that. We've had good luck with these. What I've been told is we've had good luck with these style of shades as far as the storms are concerned. There were a couple of them that or other placements on Riverwalk that didn't do as well, but these particular ones did quite well. Although you all know, we all know, or you should know, that there's no guarantees with, considering the level of the storm that you get. Good Cat 5 comes up, you got bigger things to worry about than sunshades, because those are going into the river, whether you like it or not. Finally, the contract that we use, I don't know, you guys might be more familiar with this than I am, because this is one of my first delves into this. We're using what the procurement department and Aaron in there was describing to me is what is known as a Sourcewell contract, which I guess is something that we used back in the day for the playground equipment that was previously approved by you guys. So that allows us to not be bound by the normal bidding process, because this contract here, they outsource with the contractors. They kind of do that, and it's already been approved with you guys. We did the research to make sure that that's all still existing and in place and everything else like that. So pretty much what they wanted me to do is tell you guys exactly what we're thinking and where we're going and how much money it would take, and kind of show you the pictures of where we are right now. So that's pretty much my thing.
Madam Chair, this is for next year's budget, and what it requires was the city to fill out an application, a budget, intergovernmental funding, which they have, and you have before you. It does fall within the CRA plan, with it being a public park, and it is in the downtown, and which, as Randy Iaboni told us, the downtown is well funded. So what it requires is board approval so that it can go into our budget for the city council's approval in the next couple weeks, next month or so. And then it will be funded in the 25-26 budget. So the money is not there right now, but it will be after October the 1st with the board's approval.
Anybody have any questions,
I don't have questions, but
comments?
I feel like that shade in that area would be hugely helpful. I love putting them there next to the splash pad. I only a little question, when that area is in use, I feel like sometimes vendors put their own those pop-up tents that you can have. Will now those vendors have to, I presume they'd have to be kind of in front of them?
They would. I would assume as well that they would have to go around them or somewhere else, because I don't know if you've ever taken the walk down there, if you can actually recollect it, because when they first asked me to take this, I had to go down there and see it.
Bill, can you adjust the mic? You have a very
Certainly.
melodious voice that I'm not able to hear every tone.
Melodious, there's a compliment. That's good, because I didn't get the flattering introduction like the previous guy did, so I appreciate the melodious. Yeah, I would imagine, and that's one of the things I was looking at, because when I went down there, they did have something set up, like the temporary thing that somebody had even, within the existing ones that we already had, they kind of rearranged and everything else like that. So I'm assuming that would be something that would go through, when they plan those things and plot all that out, because these things are fixed structures.
Right.
They're not as nearly as massive as the circles that I've got shown on the drawing. they're not as big as you see, because they probably, like a little cabana thing like that, and they said they're not as intrusive as that drawing shows. Unfortunately, the guys were gonna give a rendering to us by the contractor. They just hadn't been able to get back to me yet on that. So the circles is what we have. So I don't think it would be as big of a deal, but yeah, they would have to kind of go around those, because those are fixed structures. I mean, they're in the ground and they're stuck in there, so.
Is there going to be seating or picnic tables under it, or is it just the shade structure?
That was in my discussions, just when my meetings with Lance, when we talked about that, not really, and even the mayor, because even like the facilities guys and everything else like that, you talk about getting things like that, once again, mitigating storms and things like that, starting to move stuff. You don't want to fixate it or anything else, so it's just going to be kind of like that shade, much like they do have on the Riverwalk, because there's some of them that I noticed that didn't have any seating under them. You can just kind of stand there. But this especially, I think, this is just my opinion, with being on the forever lawn too, just, take a blanket out there and sit on it, that type of thing.
My other thought too was, having been down there during the concerts in the park, that the sun really is coming from the west. And so I'm wondering about if you're going to really have that effectiveness being over there.
Well, what you got to
But
remember,
then
and this
Bill-
is one of the things that we kind of kicked out around, especially on that drawing. First, you have that other stage that isn't depicted on the drawing, that apparently they take up and
Yeah,
depending
yeah.
on things like that. Then you have the western stage, which is the permanent one. The one thing that you do have to think of is a lot of people think sometimes when it comes to the sun on a strictly east-west basis. Rises in the east, sets in the west. The other thing that you got to consider is the north-south, okay? This time of year, the sun's right there in the sky. Depending on that time of year, it can be over there, it can be up there, because obviously the seasons, I know the sun doesn't move, we do, but you get my gist. So that's where we tried to get that, and once again, back to those circles that we really don't have, is the actual placement. I think when we would get down into the grass, the reeds of that, is trying to figure out and getting a placement. And then the trouble is going to be during that season, well, sun's over here at 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, during the summer, we'll be over here at 9 o'clock and get them placed where we could get the best shade possible,
Well, I
where
think
at least somebody can get out of the heat.
Afternoon sun is the worst.
Mhm.
It's the hottest part of the day.
And I mean, just sitting there waiting for that, in the past, you have to wait until it gets down below the pavilion. It's
That's
just,
really where those ones right next to the splash pad would be most effective. The ones off to the east, yeah, at sun-time, you're gonna get the sun coming down into them, but you have no other options other than blocking the permanent stage, which at that point.
yeah, you don't want to do that. But I'm wondering if you'd want to do them at the other end of the elliptical,
Well, that's where we run into that other stage thing. We're running out of space.
Oh, that's right.
We're running,
yeah.
we're just running out of square footage is all we're doing. So those were basically, we had kind of this discussion going, yep, that's it, right there. That's pretty much just limited. And we'll look at that more and more, and like I said, we're just, what Jeff was talking about, we just wanted to,
Well, and over at the playground part, it's always hard to find something under shade when you've got your kids there.
yeah, there's
There's just no place to
yeah, it
put
was
it.
funny when they first asked me to do this, not to ramble on or anything else, but when they asked me to do this, I was watching, not too long ago, I was watching Mickey Mouse with my granddaughter. And what they were doing in the show is Mickey and all his buddies, they were working with the city to build a park. And Minnie Mouse kept saying, the park's great, the park's great, the park's great. You took down all the trees, where's the shade? Oh, no, we don't need shade. Well, the kids came out, sat down on the slide and went, it's too hot.
Oh, yeah.
Too hot it's what my daughter says, my granddaughter says all the time. It's just, I can't slide, it's too hot on my butt. And yep, if you get out there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it'll fry the buns.
So we don't want to focus on that?
What?
Okay.
Frying buns?
No, I mean, not frying them.
Not fry, yeah, that's,
Over the playground equipment.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
CRA is here to decide whether they want to give the city funding for it.
Not to
If,
tell them what to do.
if the city council members want to talk to the city about where they place them, that's city business.
Okay.
Thank you.
But that's, yeah, that's all, like I said, we're at that beginning stages like he alluded to, so that's where we are, and we got the initial.
Okay.
We're looking for a motion to approve the application so that we can fund the city for their request and they can make those improvements.
I
Have a
would,
motion?
I would move to approve the interdepartmental funding application from the city administration for Rossi Park improvements in an amount up to $250,000.
Second?
Do I have a second?
Second?
Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Opposed? Passes.
Thank you, Bill. Next, we're going to talk about purchasing land, and Mr. Monopoly here is going to talk to you about it.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Chris Mignon, CRA Manager. All right, so this has been some time in the making. Basically, we're here. This presentation, this slide deck outlines the proposed land acquisition for 1001 9th Avenue East. The following presentation will detail the project, its important and future uses. So the project involves the acquisition of a 2.5+ acre parcel located at 1001 9th Avenue East in Bradenton. The seller is the Tropicana Manufacturing Company, Inc. The total purchase price for the parcel is at $900,000 with an initial deposit of $25,000. The parcel is a strategic acquisition because of its location in the downtown CRA district and aligns with the CRA plan. The property is urban commercial core zoning, and it's beneficial to allow residential development. The size and location of the parcel offers a significant opportunity for impactful affordable housing project. Once acquired, the CRA will integrate this parcel into its redevelopment strategy. Options range from placing the property into a community land trust to ensure long-term affordability, partnering with developers for affordable housing development and construction. The CRA also can pursue direct development of affordable housing units or hold the property for future projects as well. So that's pretty much my presentation for this. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Do we have an appraisal on this?
No, we don't have an appraisal on this. But it's
Okay.
in line with what we've talked about as far as the price per, like if we're doing the affordable housing, the price per house. We can do approximately 32 houses on the property. It is not in the form-based code, so we have some different setbacks and things like that. So it's a little bit different than other properties within the form-based code.
So you're saying 32 units at 900 off?
2 acres? Below
2.5
2.5?
plus.
Okay. It's hard for me to compare. I mean, I would think we should have an appraisal before we I mean, we can probably do that as part of our contract, I would think.
You can do that within.
45-day due diligence?
Yes. We also used the appraisal that we had done for a piece of property within a couple blocks of this. We have a single piece that we own that we wanted to put out for sale, which we're advertising now. and the price per unit falls below that appraisal for that piece of property. So
But we'll
that,
have to go through subdivision, we'll have to do subdivision, we'll have to develop the property, right?
we will develop the property according to the program we're putting together. The property doesn't need to be developed if you use it as single-family lots because they all front the street. But we are looking to develop the site to a higher, better use. So that's all part of the sustainable housing package that we're putting together. The price per unit also falls below the property appraiser's appraisal of the site, the Manatee County property appraisal's appraisal of the site, which we all know is usually lower than what the real market value is, because that's just the way he does it. And we felt that was enough to move forward with it. The statute does allow us to move purchasing and selling property based on intrinsic value, where the state and the county and the city have to use fair market value. We are allowed, according to the statute, to use fair value, which allows us to base purchasing and selling on things other than market value. So if we had a historic piece that we wanted to buy, and the historic value was such that we really wanted to preserve it, we could buy that at a different piece, or we could use that as an incentive and give it to a developer if they were going to historically redevelop the site. So not necessary. If the board wants it, we can do it. And
So what was the property appraiser's value on this?
property appraiser's value of, not this site, but of a regular site that we looked at is about $45,000 for a single-family site in the area. The appraisal that we had done on the site that we own came out at $55,000 for the area. And because we are increasing densities under the Sustainable Housing Program, this will drive our price down on this site to roughly, we'd figured that out.
Yeah, I don't have that number on me.
Yeah, but you're,
And it's 32 units,
Yeah,
32 divided by.
900,
but
901.
we're paying the value of the
28,000.
land. What's the value of the land as it sits right now, is my question.
We would have to get an appraisal if you want that.
No, I'm just, just give me a second, I'll go on the property appraiser site.
While you're looking that up, oh shoot, I'm gonna forget now what I was gonna ask.
The address?
Oh, is this because, it's owned by Tropicana, is it eligible for any brownfield or any other thing that we could?
It could be, that's, during our due diligence, we will be doing the environmental.
Okay,
So, I'm already looking into setting that up, the phase one. So based on what that phase one comes back with, we will know a little more. So we do have a 45 due diligence period.
okay.
we're talking,
And-
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. And based upon what Ms. Moore just said, are there any, when would the grants come into play with that? Phase two? In terms of, I mean, are SHIP grants available for it, or?
Yes, there are SHIP. The city is currently in contract negotiations with Manatee County on SHIP to manage their SHIP for them. Every house that we place on this will be SHIP eligible, and that can, according to the folks in the city, that's about a $90,000 owner equity grant with SHIP, and that we have factored that into the housing that the performer that we're putting together for the houses.
Did I understand correctly that the lot that we have that is improved, that is similar in nature, that you're kind of analogizing, it's improved at 55,000, so is it fair from a value standpoint to say?
So the lot that you're talking about, that the appraisal was done on, is a vacant lot.
Oh, it is vacant?
Yeah. So
And it was
the
still valued at
appraisal came
55?
back at 55,000?
55,000.
So, I think that lot was about, 5 or 6,000 square feet, so it was a smaller lot.
So from what I'm seeing here, if I'm looking at this right on my phone, the property appraiser has the value at 274,692.
Does it have though, I think that my only, I mean, I haven't looked at it, but how is it zoned? Is it like industrial?
It's
'Cause-
UCC.
Oh, wait,
so
hold
it's
on.
Oh, that's right,
Wait,
you just
wait,
told
wait.
us that.
commercial core.
Oh, okay.
This year's 331,600. Let me look. You mean the zoning?
Well, I guess he just told us that it was, what did you just, I'm sorry, you just said that on a slide and I'm spacing out on the zoning that you just told us on.
UCC, urban core, commercial core,
Okay.
but you can do residential there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking, I think that, so if I'm understanding correctly, you're kind of, assuming 32 units and at roughly 55,000 for value. The end result value would be something like 1.7 million. Is that the hope?
yeah, so, I mean, the thing is that, we were looking at it as far as that appraisal came in as well. We feel that because of its location, the size, you can't find a lot of parcels that size. And for what we're looking to do in the future, that it would accommodate, a lot of affordable units. And it would be that investment, the return on investment later after it's developed would be significant on that $900,000.
Okay, we're paying 3 times what the property appraiser says it's worth. I just would feel a lot better if we had an appraisal. I mean, we've got to be good stewards of the money, and I know as a government, we always end up paying more than what the average private citizen would, but 3 times, without any, I think that's a pretty high price.
Is it,
Madam Chairman?
Yeah.
The 32 units, on average, roughly, what would be the square footage of these 32 units?
Well, it all
Would
depends,
vary.
because we are looking at doing the prototypes. One house is at, a smaller square footage at a 450 square foot. We have houses at 1,100 square feet. But then we're also looking for like a bigger parcel like this. We can look at those, what Randy had talked about. We can look at those bigger units, those 3+2 kind of units for more family.
Yeah.
So, it could be a combination of different sizes of units or different square footages of units. It doesn't,
Yeah. Because I was thinking, even back from just the information we got a little earlier, it seems to be a need for larger, family.
Madam Chair, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to pull this. And I'd just like to pull this because we're getting into an area that we're pulling information out of the air, and we'll bring it back accordingly. And if this is the way, then we just will pull it.
Wait, if that's what everybody wants to do, the only thing I'll say is, I know it's important when you've got real estate contracts that it's, time is of the essence. There's a 45-day due diligence period in here.
Again, we'll just pull it and bring it back. If you want appraisals on everything, then we'll bring you appraisals on everything and let the board decide that way. It's apples to oranges, but if that's the way the board wants it, that's the way we'll do it. And we'll just leave it at that.
also, I think if we do put that, then I think we may have to adjust the contract, correct? To have that contingency in there on the appraisal.
Well, you have a 45-day due diligence period, which sole discretion is ours to get out of.
Right,
But-
so we have a due diligence period where we could get the appraisal within that due diligence period. Or if it gets pulled, obviously, we don't need to make that a contingency, so however the board wants to proceed.
we'll be happy to pull it and get an appraisal. Government moves slower than the private sector. We were behind another person on this that was going to pay a similar amount, and we will just take our chances
Well, why would we do that?
because we just need to get appraisals on everything. We'll just get appraisals on everything.
have the contingency.
We'll just get appraisals on everything, and we'll leave it at that. That's the way it needs to be done. We'll do it that way. No problem. No problem.
Well, I'm not saying that it has to be done on everything. I just feel like there's a big discrepancy, and
We have the time, it's a 45-day.
I'd rather do it where the board is comfortable doing it rather than pushing. So we'll just pull these items off the agenda, and we'll just get appraisals on everything. We'll do it the government way.
I'm not comfortable possibly losing this if this large parcel. So, I mean, if there's the 45-day contingency, and should the appraisal come back and we say, oh, no, and we can pull out of it, I just don't want to see us miss out on something when we could have just, we would have had time, the 45 days as opposed to going another month or what have you. And that it's almost like the same, but better to do it now with the contingency clause to it.
My question is, if we vote for this and in the 45 days we find that people are uncomfortable with the price that we've chosen to pay versus an appraisal, where does that leave us?
That leaves you with not purchasing the property because you're not comfortable with the appraisal.
or renegotiating.
On the other hand, if you looked at as a redeveloper, if you looked at the end result and what that adds to the tax base by adding all these homes and the value of the land as improved, which is the way you have to look at it as a redeveloper, looking at it as a real estate person who's looking for the purchase, sell, purchase, the immediate gratification of the real estate market, you would get an appraisal and base it on that. But by adding 38 new homes to the property, 38 people that could not purchase a home before but can purchase it now, that value, which is the way you look at it in redevelopment, it's like a reverse mortgage. So if we're going to do it the one way, we'll be happy to do it that way. That's what the board decides. We just happen to look at it from, once developed, the value of the redevelopment versus a vacant piece of ground that has sat there making minimal tax value for decades versus 38 new homes, generational wealth improvement, which is something that Randy mentioned, and improvement in the community as far as not only just homes, minimum homes that would normally be built there, which the developer that was purchasing it, that was their specialty. We're talking about higher quality homes for workforce housing, for people like police officers, firefighters, teachers, nurses. We'll do it however you want us to do it.
I feel like we owe it to be good stewards and not to overpay. I know we're going to pay a premium because we're the government buying it, but I just feel like, I'm sorry, I can't take out that I'm a realtor and I have to look at the value of something when I buy it. I can't take
But
it
we
out.
also have to think about what this is going to be.
Well, it still will be, it doesn't, to
I
me,
mean-
that doesn't affect. In a way, it'll make it better if we can buy it at a more reasonable price.
But with the contingency of 45 days, there's the option to possibly renegotiate, right? No?
Always.
Or just
You
say
have to
no?
talk to
Well, if
the
I may,
owner of the property.
Oh, is that who owns it?
If I may, and Mr. Russo, maybe some guidance. It seems like a choice could be to go ahead and approve the contract as is, knowing that we have the 45 days. Within that 45-day period, Mr. Mignon and Dr. Burton can meet with us individually, procure any other there's going to be other due diligence. Who knows? That's the purpose of due diligence. We don't know what kind of can of worms we're getting into. And then after the results, within 45 days, I think we'll have another meeting. So we can take, we can take board action to say, no go, we can't sustain this, or, I mean, really, not just the value, but I feel like we're gonna have to do some other kind of due diligence. And
That's correct.
do you feel like that is a problematic way to proceed?
No, I think that's fine. I mean, obviously, this is not like a situation where the appraisal has to hit a certain number for you to get your financing or anything like that. It's just going to be one of the factors that the board's going to look at in conjunction with, the development potential and the other things that are going into it. So I don't see any issues with having that done as part of your due diligence.
I mean, if we're trying to get affordable housing, I mean, a big part of is the land acquisition. And so, to me, I just think paying 3 times what the property appraiser says it is worth,
But we have 45 days to decide if we're going to pay 3 times that.
I haven't even looked at the other one. I don't know what it's assessed at. I mean, but.
Well, I'll
entertain
step
a
out
motion.
there. I'll step out there then. I'll move to approve, and I may not word this because it's not as written here. Move to approve the vacant land purchase contract with Tropicana Manufacturing Company, Inc. for the property located at 1001 9th Avenue East, and authorize the CRA chair to execute any documents necessary not to close the transaction before 45 days. No. I'm not a legal eagle. No.
I think we can just authorize the execution of the contract at this point. That way, it will come back to the board during due diligence for further direction.
And then
So moved.
I'll second that. I think then we can have further discussion.
Right.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Passed unanimously. Okay, are we doing the next one?
Yes.
This is basic, it's pretty much the same thing, right?
It basically is. However,
Cheaper?
if you look at the property appraiser, the lots are within the $50,000 per lot. Also, some of the lots are a lot bigger than the other lots, so we'll go forward with this one. So, so basically, this is the acquisition of 15 parcels. These 15 parcels are also owned by Tropicana. The primary goal of this initiative is to acquire strategically located vacant land within the central CRA district. The acquisition will be the next step in developing much-needed affordable housing within the community. The current challenges, despite ongoing efforts within the development, despite our ongoing efforts with development partners, Bradenton faces a shortage of homes for purchase, affordable homes for purchase. The scarcity presents a major challenge for individuals and families seeking to establish roots in our city. This project directly addresses the critical needs. As you can see here, these are the properties on 8th and 11th Avenue, 8th Street. And the CRA owns the property to the south. That's the one we are doing the prototype on. The other parcels to the north are the parcels that we're looking to acquire. That'll combine that full parcel into about 1.3 acres. There's also a small infill lot to the north that we can do 1 or 2 homes on as well. These are in a T4R, T4O zoning. These here are in a T4R, except for our parcel is a T4O. So that allows us residential. When you put the bonuses on for affordable housing, we can do about 15 per acre on these. Okay. And then these are other properties that are along 13th Avenue that we can use as affordable housing as well. Or, you can look at maybe some different options going forward. So, the acquisition is strategically sound as all the parcels are located within the central CRA and align with our redevelopment plan. The current zoning is compatible with residential developing, allowing up to 15 units. Acquiring the 8th Street and 11th Avenue properties allow us to consolidate the land next to our existing parcel there. So the 15 parcels is purchase price at $750,000. Our initial deposit is $15,000. The total acreage of all the parcels is about 2.9 acres, and the maximum housing is about 15 units per acre.
This is almost 3 acres. And it's less.
Like
Well, it's all broken up.
It's all, yeah.
It's broken up a
It's
little
all
bit.
broken up,
Yeah, so, but some are together, so you can combine some of the parcels. Just like the other, there's other options as well. So what we're looking to do is use it as, and within the community land trust for long-term home affordability, partnering with, private nonprofits, and if need be, we can hold some of the property for the future projects. So, if you have any questions on this one, I'd be happy to answer.
We're putting like 1.6 million into just purchasing these 2 spots. I think we need to think about it.
Well, we will.
Well, these
Okay.
parcels, like I said, they are, if you do the math, it's 50,000 per parcel, which is, if you look at the property appraiser, you're under what that's gonna be. So I feel it is a great opportunity at that pricing for these parcels.
And in aggregate, we're talking about 75 units?
I think, 15 times, I think it's more in the,
45 and 30, something like that?
Its proximity to Tropicana is interesting, considering we're
Well-
gonna relocate Public Works there, and,
Could be homes for our workers.
I mean, it might help us attract, for employment purposes, I think it's checking a box somewhat.
Yep, I
Yeah.
would agree.
Mhm.
If, I know that both of these say land trusts. Does it have to be pursued in land trusts? Is it not feasible without that?
If
We
you,
decide at a later date, and this is a hypothetical, I just
Right,
don't know.
so the 3 reasons for a land trust are simple. One is that it does not take it off the tax value. The land trust still pays taxes. The homeowner pays a lease to the land trust for a 99-year lease, which is considered ownership. The owner of the home buys the home without the value of the land built into it, which reduces the price. The reason we do that is because if we were to include the price in the home, it drives the price of the home up. You spend less money on square footage or quality of the home, and that way they do own the home and they do own the land, but you're building an inferior product. The third reason is because, and I'll be happy to take a road trip with anybody that wants to, Usually when you have a number of homes built like this, there's usually an HOA involved. HOAs are great if you have people that aren't working all the time trying to make a mortgage. Somebody has to be in charge of maintaining the exterior of the home, the land. The land trust in this case would be that entity. That would guarantee long-term sustainability of the property. So those are the main reasons why we say land trust, because it benefits the homeowner, it raises the quality of the home, and it also sets the land up for long-term sustainable use. The other reason, there are other subsidiary reasons. One is that by having the land owned with the property, in order to get the densities that we need to make this work, you're going to have to subdivide the land into smaller pieces, and we're going to have to go back to the city. You can see that they're already zoned for single-family use. We're talking about a higher density than that. That's something that the city currently probably does not allow. So having the land trust allows you not to have setbacks on the inside of the property, and also allows you to position the homes more thoughtfully on a bigger piece of property. The only setbacks you have to worry about are around the perimeter. We are proposing to do something that is not normal for today's real estate market and construction. We're proposing to do something that is different because the current structure of how we do things has got us into this position where young people can't afford to own their own homes. And we're trying to put something together that will actually give them that ability. And we're throwing everything into it to make sure that the value or the monthly payment, including insurance, full insurance with the maximum deductions, because we were told that it's not the mortgage that keeps people from buying homes, it's the insurance on the homes that are currently built in today's market. These homes will be built to highest winds, to the insurance, property insurance and casualty building code, which is the fortified code, which gives them those discounts on their insurance. It also gives them the highest, best mitigation against hurricanes. They'll also be built with alternative energy in mind, because we all know that when a hurricane rolls through, the first thing you lose, if you don't lose your home, is your power. And we want to make sure that they have that ability to maintain power, and also that they have the ability to have minimum monthly electric bills. So that's the direction we're heading in. We don't have to head in that direction, but if you want first-time workforce housing mortgages for people to be able to purchase homes, this is the way to go.
And I think, as I asked it the first time too, that SHIP grants would be available to further offset the
SHIP
cost.
would be a major component on the homeowner side.
And just for clarification, because it is something that's completely unique, which is, again, does potentially solve an issue of affordable housing for our workforce. The maintenance of the outside of the homes, and I'm assuming that, the roofs will probably last 50 years, so that's not, but like the maintenance of the outside of the homes, does that include painting and fix up on the exterior?
No, this
No.
includes the property. The
Just the
homeowner
property.
owns the home, but you are correct. We would be looking at, instead of a shingle roof or a 3-tab or a 3-dimensional, which usually gives you about a 15-year warranty on the product and installation, we would be looking beyond a Galvalume roof, which gives you even a higher number. We'd be looking at like a 24-gauged roof. Again, we're looking at building homes that are built to withstand the new Florida climate and put people in them so that, especially, again, we go back to police officers, firefighters, teachers, people that we need here to be here after the storm. And that was the whole point of the process.
Understood. And how much of the land mass of the city are we talking about? Less than 1%?
Compared to the rest of the housing in the city, we can get that number, but it's way less than 1%, yes.
Hold on, yep.
Go ahead.
I know that it is, I know that the ideal model is, full ownership, fee simple of single-family residence. I had the opportunity to do the community land trust training with Dr. Burton and Mr. Mugnon, and a couple of things that stood out to me were, these are just a couple of my thoughts, like as I went through that process. Number one, this is just one tool in the toolbox. So if we were talking about en masse, like this is the way it must be forever, everywhere, I would be a little more hesitant. But experimenting with this model of ownership, I think is worth a try. A 99-year lease is lendable.
Yeah.
You can actually get loans on it and whatnot. And one of there's two things that really pushed me over the edge to kind of wanting to experiment with it. The first one is this notion of sustainability. What I'm hoping that this avoids for the people that would be able to live here is the expense of trying to make your physical habitat safer for the current environment. Of course, I have personal feelings on making your house sustainable and resilient. But even more than that, it is this notion of, or what I'm trying to avoid is people who get into something that's they're not able to keep it up. And then that we're just back in the cycle of, I can't maintain, now I'm in code enforcement, I've got liens for that. And the unique thing about your comparison to an HOA is the community land trust functions very much like that. I don't want to say it's policing, whether you've maintained your exterior or you've painted or you have mowed your lawn, but even more than that, it is very much community oriented. So one of the notable things about the training was that whereas an HOA will just start sending you notices that now your fines are ticking, much like code enforcement, you now have someone who actually is going to have a conversation with you. Why are you not maintaining? Why can't you afford whatever? It's much more of an interactive, we want you to be a successful homeowner. We want you to make this investment.
All that government should be, yeah.
Well, it's not the government.
No, I just think
not.
it's one of those.
Land trust.
Yeah, or it's one of those things that a homeowner doesn't think of until after they own, that when everything starts to deteriorate and they're like, I'm out, and you have multiple units doing that.
And then you have
It's
the whole
unique. This
community.
potentially alleviates that problem.
And really, I completely hear what you're saying about the government doing that, but I think that the community land trust is more akin to an HOA that's just a little more friendly than the government, than subsidized housing, than what we're having to deal with on the city side.
I gotta be honest, I have a big problem with all this. This is exactly what, the guy that's running for the mayor in New York's trying to do too. This is communism. Yes, it is. You need to own, see, you laugh, but this is how it starts. That's how it starts. Home ownership, land, the property rights are like the cornerstone of our country. And when you start just giving away little bits here and there, I am all for helping people to get affordable housing, but give them the land. Let it be their liberty. When you own your own land, you're gonna take better care of it. It's not like, it's the one way you can make generational wealth, by controlling the land, making it better. People who own their own properties, they invest more, they invest more into their community. It's just the one way that you can pull yourself up out of that bad thing.
But these are people that may not have the disposable income to be able to keep that property perfect.
Well, they're
As
gonna have to
opposed to-
pay the land trust a fee.
Yes, but I hear you, but
I just-
I don't see it as government control. I see it as sometimes we need regulations to protect us from ourselves sometimes.
I disagree with you, Jane, in that it's voluntary. This isn't being forced on anyone. They either can or they can't. If they want to pursue the American dream, yeah, they vis-a-vis, but the potential problem that we have as real estate prices have not gone the historic norm the last 10 years is what was affordable. And, you know, everyone looks at it now, the, 3 to 4% returns year over year have become the doubles. And you're taking a whole generation of folks that can't afford to get into a home. And if they are in there and they build their lives and their family and in savings and then move on, it's an option. It's not communism. We're not forcing them to do this.
Also, if I could.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, just to piggyback on what Mr. Susler said, I agree with you. That's the mecca. I would love everyone to be able to afford that.
Yeah.
But I do think that this model is worth experimenting versus another massive apartment complex.
Oh,
I mean,
I don't want that.
Let's try something else because we do have the need. I think like Mr. Iaboni's report to me was, eye-popping open. I knew that I knew we didn't have the wealth that the county, generally speaking, has, but I didn't realize just the disparity that we were talking here. And so that just makes it kind of realistic. Like, are we going to sink funds into more Lura-based apartments or?
No.
And
I
don't
don't
get me
think
wrong,
so.
I'm not bashing that model either, but again, tools in the toolbox. What can people afford to do?
But would townhouses not be, I mean, I say yes, do affordable. Give a place that city employees and people that work at Tropicana can live. I'm fine with that. I don't like that we're deciding who has the, how much money, because at some point, the land needs to be theirs. And so I just don't.
I think also it might,
I think if you make people always dependent on government, you're not exactly going to ever get out of it.
I hear what you're saying. I just think this is a little bit different. Like I said, this isn't like a housing authority, situation. They own something. They just don't own the same thing as, someone else next door or in a different parcel owns. So they do have some element of ownership. There is an investment happening there. It's just a different type. And will they be able to recoup this, what the real estate market has been doing here locally, historically for some time? Maybe not, but I think if we don't temper that with the need for something that, in other words, where I'm getting at is if we gave them the land and let them turn around and sell it for 3 times of the investment that they had to make, no one will stay there. And we'll just have this continual cycle of, I don't know. I just don't know if long-term, if we're trying to, we're trying to temper our goals for people, which is that, gold standard of home ownerships, fee simple, my single-family residence, with our community need for housing that can sustain a workforce at the price points that we're really.
So they can make money, just, you don't want them to make too much money.
No, I want them to be able to sell it to someone who also needs a place to land.
Okay, I can tell it's philosophically, I've just been honest about.
So just if I might, and I applaud what's, especially the Met. I love the Met. I love what the Met represents. It has a lure attached to it, which is good for 15 years. At the end of 15 years, if the market is stronger, and I've seen this firsthand in Tampa, that lure will disappear and they will go market. And the people that could afford to live in the Met might not be able to afford to live in the Met because the rents will go up. that's just the way that is. That's the way it's designed. We've built into these homes lifetime affordability, which means there will be generational wealth built, but it won't be built at a level of, if you had a market increase, someone turned around and sold it for twice as much as what they paid for it. Now it's not affordable. Now it's market. So you're right. This is a very thoughtful process, and wasn't the first time I've been called a communist, but that's okay.
I said it's communism.
I'm a Reagan Republican. I don't know how to kind of handle that, but it's okay. So the
Question at hand.
yeah, we just need to bring this to a question. We can go back and look at it, and we'll be happy to provide you a model of what we expect this piece of property to generate to the tax base once the homes are built. I will say this, we're not planning on building anything other than the prototypes. We're planning on using the private sector to do the work.
But once the land is in the land trust, can it be pulled out?
The odds of it being pulled out are very low. But again, it protects the affordability of the homes. And that is what we're also looking for here is to make sure that that home stays affordable for the second, third, fourth buyer once the person that's in it wants to move to a better home. And I'll agree with Chris on this, and I've said it before. If the market says we need to be building 3-2 homes rather than 1-1 or 2-1 or 2-2s, guess what? We need to build what the market demands, because that's who the buyers are. So that doesn't sound too communistic. Anyway, that's where we want to head with this, and I see it as trying to adapt how we build homes to something new and different, because what we've done in the past has got us where we are today, and it's not solving the problem for us. Everybody is screaming for affordable homes. Randy Iaboni said today that he showed you the graph. More people are coming in, and we're not meeting that need. We're just trying to come up with something new, and I'll be happy to, last thing I'll say, quoting the statute, CRAs are supposed to try new things with affordable homes and then create reports and then spread that around to everybody else. It's in the statute. Don't have to do it if you don't want to. It's in your plan. It's in the statute. We would love to do it. And I applaud Chris for being able to come up with these pieces of property, because I thought we were going to just do little infills. But he managed to put together something and work it through.
But I think I would feel a lot better if we had done some infills and knew that this was gonna work before we jump into and overpay for lots. And, I think it's, anyhow, okay. Where are we? Do we have a question? Is this for the second? This is for the second. Did we already approve the second contract?
No.
No.
We need a motion and a second.
So move to approve the contract and permit the chair to execute the contract.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Is that, no,
With-
yeah, I'd second.
Oh, I think Pam already
Oh, okay.
seconded.
But
did
does
you
that
want
have,
a
does that second one
discussion?
have to be subject to
The 40
the appraisal?
Oh,
Or, no?
No, we'll have.
Oh, it's within the.
It's the same as the
Well,
first
both of
one.
them.
Okay.
We have 45 days due diligence to look at all the factors that the board wants to look at in that time frame.
Sorry to confuse.
No, that's okay.
I'm glad you
And also,
clarified, 'cause
just a reminder, it has nothing to do with what will ultimately be
trust.
done with the property.
Right.
We're just talking
Right.
about the acquisition.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay. Whoops, I lost my agenda. Lost my agenda.
Oh, do you need mine?
Where are we?
I think we're at executive director reports.
Ah.
We just did this.
Yes,
So
okay.
we're-
Or other discussion or do we have any new business?
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
if I could, Tim Knowles is here. He represents Tropicana.
Yes,
I can have just one.
absolutely.
I'm Tim Knowles, I'm representing Tropicana. The contracts that you were presented were heavily negotiated, and there's a lot of timing issues in there. I just want to say thank you on behalf of Tropicana for making this move today to start that time frame running. And the contracts are specifically structured to provide those business necessary timeframes to get there. And I just want to, again, on Tropicana's behalf, thank you for your action today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I do have it. Here it is. Okay, new business?
No, ma'am.
Did we already have your report?
We have other but we'll save it for the next meeting. And just so you know, you've gotten, and I didn't give you a copy today, but you get an email from us once a month now that has all this information in it.
I like that.
And all of this information that we talked about today is built into that. We'll be adding more links as we go. All the properties we talked about today were linked in there also to the property appraiser's website. But we have no other business today.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
So,
Okay, we're adjourned.